Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
It's Friday, you bastard. I can't. I can't sit through it again. I mean, people like it, but, honest to God, I kind of...
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Rusty, thank you so much for writing to the people at the YouTubes to tell them that we have permission to play your song. Thank you. I want to play music so bad, and I can't get an answer from anybody about where do you buy... I mean, we have an ASCAP license. That doesn't seem to cover anything. Nothing. And so, listen, we're not... last week, I thought we would get to 10,000 people on the reruns on the YouTubes, but we haven't. People are using different devices these days. They love the Periscope. I mean, tens of thousands of people on that Periscope. They love the live Facebook. There's, tens of thousands of people on that thing. But the YouTubes where we do the, the reruns, and sometimes, we'll throw you a bone and give you a free show and stuff like that. We still are not at 10. And until we get to 10 on the reruns, then we can't get customer service from YouTube.
Less than 300 subscribers to go.
So today, please, no matter where you're watching or listening, if you're doing it on Periscope, if you're listening on TuneIn, if you're listening on the Progressive Voices app, if you're listening on Facebook, if you're watching on, in the chat room, whatever, just please just go to the YouTube, Randi Rhodes YouTube page, and hit the subscribe button, because in like 10 minutes, if everyone who was listening would just freaking do that one little thing, which is free, won't do anything to your account. All it'll do is, and you can turn this off too if you want, it'll notify you when we're live so you don't miss a live episode, which are free, right? But that's all it will do. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't. But if we don't get there, we cannot get customer service. And I desperately need to be serviced. It's Friday, you bastards. Because, no, I want to play music. I bought the damn license. It's very expensive, and it seems to be good for absolutely nothing unless you could talk to somebody over at the tube, and there's nobody to talk to at the tube. Yet. Oh, and you know what? That Japanese businessman, Masayoshi. You know him? The one that wants to buy all of our... cell phone carriers, and he already owns Sprint. Sprint is not doing as well. He wants to merge it with the T-Mobile, and of course the Federal Communications Commission has said no, because we need at least 4 carriers to say that we're competitive in these United States. So he's mixing his money with the Saudi monies for a vision fund for America. Oh yeah, the Saudis are looking at. I mean, they already bought half of New York City. I don't know if you know that. The Russians own, the outer boroughs. They do, and they're buying the $25 million apartments in Manhattan. The Saudis have already bought every hotel in Manhattan. I don't know if you know this, but if you go to the Waldorf Astoria, and you walk through there, you're going to see the men. You're going to see the men with the white robes and the rope hats, and you'll see. And if you really want to freak them out, they don't like dogs. They think dogs are the devil, don't they? Yeah, they think dogs are the devil. There was only one really, really cute little slave boy that was obviously with some Saudi, moneyed family that was there, and he was their servant boy. You think that there's some ring at Comet Pizza? Oh no, there are servant boys that travel with very, very rich Saudi, ambassadors. I don't know what they are. They're just Saudi businessmen. But when we went to the Waldorf, we were staying. This is way back. How many years ago was this? Like 4 or 5 years ago? Yeah. And we were staying at the Waldorf, and we upgraded ourselves to the Tower Suite. Wanted to see it, never saw it. I'm from Brooklyn, never got to stay there. And I said, oh, now, I can afford to stay there back in the day. And I said, let's stay there. Let's see what it is. And of course, the breakfast room, like on the 90th floor or whatever it is, the 50th floor, 45th, whatever. The whole breakfast room was open, like the double doors were wide open and everything, but there were prayer rugs all over the floor, and there was like a big spread of teas and, various fruits, and they were all in there getting ready to pray. And I walked by and I had my little dog Simon, which is why I know how many years ago, because, Alan's here today, but Alan's already 5. So it had to be, 6 years ago, right? Well, the Saudis had bought the Waldorf, and the tower is where they keep the very, very important businessmen from the Saudi. And I was walking down the hallway with my little dog, and they all jumped out of the way. You want to fight terrorism? Get a dog. They don't like them. Except for one really, really smooth-skinned, soft little boy. Remember him? He looked to be about, 17, 18 years old, maybe? Don't know if he was legal or not. Wearing his white flowing robe. And he loved my dog. And he came in and he said, ma'am, may I pet your dog? And I said, sure. And as he was petting, we were making a little small talk. I said, I thought that you don't love dogs over there in Saudi. He said, we don't. We think that the devil's spirit lives inside them, but this one's okay. So, if you wanted to fight terrorism, what I would suggest is release the hounds. They don't like them. As an aside. Okay, so let's discuss what we came to discuss today. We need 300 subscriptions on YouTube, subscribers, and they don't cost anything. Just hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much. Now, it's going to be very important because the Japanese businessman wants to buy Twitter also. And this is why I believe Donald Trump is on Twitter, supported by all these bots that aggregate all his tweets to the point where you think people are loving on him, 8,000 people at a time retweeting him. It's being done by bots. And the problem is that American companies don't want to buy Twitter because of all the trolls and the bots. They don't feel that Twitter is profitable. Now, I love Periscope, okay? And I would hate to lose it. But this Japanese businessman wants to buy the Twitter, and Donald Trump seems to be using the Twitter to drive up the attraction to buying the Twitter. It would be foreign owned, just like Reddit is owned by the Japanese too. That little hate spot on your internet dial. Reddit owned by the Japanese. But I find it so fascinating that this could explain partially some of the tweeting that goes on by the president-elect, the POTUS of the United States, and his national security advisor. Now, think about it this way. Do you want a national security advisor who tweets? General Flynn? Do you really want somebody in the security apparatus of this country to tweet in the first place? I say no. Now, General Barry McCaffrey, who supported General Michael Flynn as National Security Advisor, remember, doesn't have to be confirmed by the Senate. That's a free pick. That's like, in Monopoly, you land on, do not go to jail. You get a get out of jail free card. Okay, the National Security Advisor is Trump's, get out of free jail card. He doesn't have to go to the Senate for this. So McCaffrey, General Barry McCaffrey, said that he was all about, Flynn. He thought Flynn was a good choice until he started to look at his Twitter feed after the Comet ping pong and pizza episode. Okay. And all of a sudden, he goes on the TV and he said, I'm not so sure about this guy anymore. He said, I'm taking a closer look at Flynn's nearly demented tweets. And I'm just wondering if the General, Barry McCaffrey, is familiar with the president's tweets. But here's what General Barry McCaffrey said. Okay, you ready for this?
Well, I was very strong in my endorsement of him when he was first announced for the NSC position. I said he was correctly probably the best intelligence officer of his generation. But I must admit, I'm now extremely uneasy about some of these tweets, which don't sound so much as if they are political skullduggery, but instead border on being demented. So I think we need to look into this and sort out what's going on here. I think that we need to aggressively examine what was going on with General Flynn and his son dealing with these transparent, nearly demented tweets that were going out. I think it needs closer scrutiny.
Is it really a good idea for people in national security to be tweeting, let alone be sending demented, nearly demented, borderline demented tweets? The president-elect and his national security advisor. I mean, this is the demented being led by the demented.
And deplorable.
I mean, it's weird enough to see a high-ranking general talking about another general's tweets. Is it really a good idea for people in charge of our national security to be tweeters? Now, he used to praise Flynn. He used to praise him. He said he was relentless in combating global jihadism. And it turns out he's also relentless in combating pizza parlors that run child sex rings in his head. And so now, all of a sudden, people are like freaked out about this. They're starting, to say, what the hell? And it's just like this common theme throughout every person that Donald Trump has picked. They're all very weird. They all have very strange philosophies. All of them are, this Pudzer guy. Okay, more and more is coming out about Pudzer. Now, he will have to be confirmed by the Senate. But Pudzer, before we get to him, let me just show you that Hillary Clinton finally came out and made an appearance, which was good. Hang on. Hillary. There she is. And she said that this fake news epidemic and, all these, things that are, if they're fake news and then they're being retweeted and it's causing actual real world consequences. So yesterday she went to the retirement. We're losing Harry Reid. Harry Reid is going to retire now. And they unveiled his portrait. After 30 years in the Senate, you get a portrait. And they revealed his. It's just him sitting at a desk. And so all the senators went to pay their respects to Harry Reid's 30 years of service. And Hillary said this isn't really the reason why she wanted to be speaking to the American people, but she wanted to talk about the fake tweeting, the fake news, and how dangerous it really is.
Let me just mention briefly one threat in particular that should concern all Americans, Democrats, Republicans, and independents alike, especially those who serve in our Congress. The epidemic of malicious fake news and false propaganda that flooded social media over the past year. It's now clear that so-called fake news can have real-world consequences. This isn't about politics or partisanship. Lives are at risk. Lives of ordinary people just trying to go about their days, to do their jobs, contribute to their communities. It's a danger that must be addressed, and addressed quickly. Bipartisan legislation is making its way through Congress to boost the government's response to foreign propaganda, and Silicon Valley is starting to grapple with the challenge and threat of fake news. It's imperative that leaders in both the private sector and the public sector step up to protect our democracy and innocent lives. Now,
I want the people who listen to, the fake news, the people that retweet the fake news, the people that, get the fake news in their feeds, the people that think that, Breitbart is real news or Drudge is, aggregating real news or, what. I want you to get the reporting on her remarks from a reputable source, because I'm sure that there are fake news sources out there right freaking now that are saying that Hillary Clinton appeared yesterday and announced a pizza delivery service where the pizza will be delivered by child sex slaves. And if the pizza is a half hour late, then the sex slave is free. I'm pretty sure that Breitbart will, mix, mangle, and mutilate those words right there. But members of Congress in both parties, they want hearings now, and so does the president. Today, the current president, the good one, he said he wants a report on his desk before he leaves. He wants hearings on Russia's involvement in the election. Because apparently Mike Pence wants to know who to send the thank you notes to. See. And the president said he wants a report on his desk. Donald Trump hopes it comes out that it was some 300-pound guy sitting on his bed in New Jersey. Or he'll just wait to see who sends him the bill for all the fake news that he benefited from. But the Senate Foreign Relations Committee wants hearings right now on Russian hacking.
Clear for takeoff.
Randi Rhodes Air Force. Air Force. RandiRhodes.com.
Well, the unthinkables happened. We have Donald Trump moving into the White House in 2017. Of course, this move brings extreme uncertainty to our country's financial future. I mean, you got the Don and his crew moving into the White House now, and who knows what they'll do to our economy. When he moves into the White House, everyone needs to get their own financial house in order before the Don and the crew have the time to do some serious economic damage to this country. Now, when it's time for financial security, it's time for gold. So call my friends at ITM Trading. Get a free gold kit. Learn why gold survives every government, every currency, every economic crisis. Gold's always brought its owners security in uncertain times just like this. Call ITM Trading at 1-888-OWN-GOLD. Get expert guidance from their precious metals consultants. They've helped tens of thousands of people navigate this market. They have the best reputation in the industry. Call 1-888-OWN-GOLD, 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1869. That was the day a new union named the Noble and Holy Order of the Knights of Labor was founded. It started in Philadelphia as a secret society of tailors, but soon the Knights expanded to workers in other trades. The Knights' unions were vertically organized. This meant each union included all workers in a given industry, regardless of craft. This was a different philosophy from most unionism of the time, which focused on craft-based organizing. The Knights also accepted workers of all skill levels as well as women. African Americans were also accepted after 1883, although often in segregated locals. The most well-known Knights leader, Terence Powderly, took office in 1879. By 1886, the group had grown to more than 700,000 members. The Knights championed the cause of the 8-hour day. While the union supported boycotts and arbitration, it remained very weary of strikes as a tactic. The Knights did support the Chicago General Strike for the 8-hour day that started on May 1st, 1886. After the bomb incident at the rally in Haymarket Square, the Knights were unfairly singled out for blame. Due to the backlash over Haymarket, the Knights' membership suddenly and dramatically declined. The widespread repression of labor unions in the 1880s led to the union's demise. The newly emerging American Federation of Labor replaced the Knights of Labor at the head of the labor union movement. The AFL focused on organizing by craft as opposed to industry, but the Knights of Labor had helped to show that inclusive unionism was possible.
Labor must reap what labor does sow. Labor must reap what labor.
Like what you hear? Check out more at laborhistoryin2.com.
Hi, we're back, and everything is possible again. Isn't it beautiful? Well, if you want to keep it this way, buy a stinking podcast. Oh yes, you have to buy a stinking podcast, and you get that at RandiRhodes.com, where we're open all day, all night long. RandiRhodes.com. Get your stinking podcast.
The Randi Rhodes Air Force. The Randi Rhodes Show is live on RandiRhodes.com and the free Progressive Voices app for Android and iOS.
Okay.
Visit the App Store or ProgressiveVoices.com now.
I have unruly hair today. I didn't have time for the blowout.
And we're having some camera issues.
Yeah, it keeps getting dark. I don't know why. It's like first it's very bright, then it's very dark. I don't know. Might have to buy a new camera. Buy some podcasts. Buy some stinking podcasts. Looks like we need new cameras. We wore these out. All right, so let's talk about this. Okay, this is amazing. So Lindsey Graham has, the Republican Lindsey Graham from one of the Carolinas, who's unrequited love. John McCain agrees with him. It's called Russia one of the most destabilizing influences on the world stage. Yes, they're right up there with our president-elect Lindsey, who probably agrees with me that Donald Trump is a absolute disaster for the United States. The word that we're trying to teach and the word that we're trying to push out about how to describe what we're about to see here in America that's going to replace the republic that is the democracy known as the United States of America is stratocracy. Like strategery, okay? But it's stratocracy. And what is that? That's when the military is constitutionally placed in civilian positions inside of a government that is otherwise a democracy. And that is what we're seeing here with, Flynn over here and John Kelly over there and General Mattis, whose call sign is chaos over there. You know what I mean? And so if we get a general for Secretary of State, or if we get Rex Tillerson from ExxonMobil, Rudy's out. Yeah, Rudy's out. Rudy's not going to be our Secretary of State. Woohoo! Everybody rejoice. No, he's going to start another law firm that will go bankrupt. You're probably to file all these lawsuits that guys like Pudzer want filed that can't because now they're in these positions at labor and I got to tell you, This Pudzer thing, it's worse than you could possibly imagine. But anyway, Lindsey Graham said, and so did John McCain, that one of the most destabilizing influences, beside for Donald Trump, that's my editorial comment, is Russia. And he said, that he wants a Senate hearing on Russia's involvement in our election. And the president of the United States today said he wants the report from that hacking, the DNC. I mean, during the campaign, Donald Trump denied. He kept saying, it could be Russia, it could be China. And they kept telling him, Hillary kept telling him, 16 intelligence agencies. This was one of the debate exchanges. 16 intelligence agencies have said that it's Russia that is hacking into the Democratic, not the Republican, just the Democratic National Committee. They hacked into John Podesta's emails. These things all happened. They have a stamp from Russia, and everybody in the intelligence communities, all 16, they know it. They know it. The only one who doesn't believe it or didn't believe it was Donald Trump. And now what's really creepy is now Donald Trump is getting intelligence briefings. And the idea that he's getting intelligence briefings and it still hasn't sunk in because he won't believe our intelligence services when our intelligence services clearly tell him Russia has hacked is bizarre and scary. And everything about Donald Trump is bizarre and scary. So add this. I mean, he said the election was going to be rigged. He kept saying that the election was going to be rigged. And it looks like our intelligence communities have figured out that the only election rigging scheme that did occur is voter suppression, which was part of it. That was done by the Republicans, and this election rigging and this release of fake documents through the WikiLeaks thing by Russia about Podesta, and even to the point where Comey inserted himself and says, we got new emails and we got to look and blah blah blah. That was and so the only rigging that he doesn't want to look at, Donald Trump doesn't, is the Russian rigging, and that's because that's the rigging that got him the presidency apparently, and so he doesn't want to look into it. And you know what that means? That means Donald Trump is not going to be the 45th president of the United States. That means Donald Trump's going to be the first czar. Remember how we used to have the drug czar and people would go, why do we call him a czar? Because we were on the road. We're on the road to Gomorrah, and now we're here. So on his little thank you tour, he ought to stop off in Moscow. What a crowd. Did you see him last night? I saw him for 5 minutes. I can't watch anymore. I used to be like, addicted to it because it was so fun and bizarre, but now it's real and I can't watch it. I can't. And, I have to for a certain amount of time when he says I'm going to lay out my plans, but he never does. He never, ever does. Never lays out his plan for anything. So, what can I tell you? But the other news is Donald Trump is going to stay executive producer of The Apprentice. Now, have you seen what our presidents look like after 4 to 8 years in the presidency? Their skin gets sallow, their hair turns white, they get gaunt, they look like they've been through the mill. It seems to be the most pressurized, highly, complicated. You live your day in like 10-minute increments with, talking to this and that and and traveling and making treaties and peace talks and oh my God, it just but Donald Trump thinks that he can run the country beautifully, run his business beautifully, and stay executive producer of the new Celebrity Apprentice. The new Celebrity Apprentice. So I'm thinking, let him make a guest appearance on the first, new Celebrity Apprentice and fire Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's going to be the new host of the new Celebrity Apprentice. Fire him. And then, host the damn show while he's president. Seriously, think about this. Every minute that he's on The Apprentice, solving the issues between Boy George and Snooki, is 1 minute he's not destroying health insurance or building his damn wall or, being the commander-in-chief. Could work. Do you realize we're going to have a president of the United States who's going to host a cheesy reality TV show? It's so beyond absurd that I half expect him to relaunch Trump University and guarantee people that this time he will show them how they can too become president of the United States. So you know who didn't end up getting anything out of this? Rudy Giuliani and Chris Christie. So I think that they should offer them slots on the new Celebrity Apprentice. And they can mediate the conflicts that are sure to come up between Snooki and Boy George. Maybe even Vince Neil. See, Christie, every time you give him a challenge, he could do it illegally and then blame it on all the others. But this is so bizarre. We're going to have a president of the United States who's actually going to host a cheesy reality show because it's so easy to be president. He's got so much free time. And that tells you that he is staffing out the presidency just like everybody thought he would. He has absolutely no interest. You see, this ties right back to the Russian intelligence story, okay? Trump has intelligence briefings, even though he chooses to ignore them or not take them, right? And so the intelligence agencies have told him that the Russians hacked into our elections. He doesn't care. He doesn't really want to know. He's not concerned. He'll staff that out to Mike Pence, right? And that's why I say Mike Pence needs to know who to send the thank you notes to, and it's probably Russia. And I say, you know what, Mike, just wait to see who bills Donald Trump for all the fake news that they generated, and then you'll know who to send the thank you note to. But think about this. He is going to staff out the presidency. He will not be the ultimate decision maker. We don't even know who that person will be. For all we know, it could be kooky General Flynn. For all we know, it could be, conversion therapy Pence. We don't know. But obviously, if Donald Trump thinks he's still going to run his business, and if Donald Trump thinks that he can still be the executive producer of the Celebrity Apprentice, and if Donald Trump thinks that, that he should surround himself with generals in civilian positions, it's obviously because Donald Trump has no curiosity and no desire to learn anything about war fighting, anything about political science, anything about the Constitution, and this applies to working people too, who have been duped. And here was the proof yesterday. I mean, I kind of suspected it when he lied about Carrier, and now Carrier is going to be the thing he relies on every single time he's confronted with issues of the working man or woman. Every time Donald Trump is confronted with issues regarding wages, hours, overtime, health insurance, benefits, anything like that, he's going to go, but look what I did for Carrier. Look what I did. Look at it. I can see it. I know it. And, I was the first person that told you about fake news. I remember sending an email to my entire family saying, okay, you want to know what happened? I'll show you what happened. And I told him about fake news. And then all of a sudden, now everybody talks about fake news. But nobody was going to talk about fake news. But I knew it was fake news for a very, very long time because I've been combating fake news. And this election cycle was the elevation of fake news to a level unimaginable, except to me. Except to me, because I worked in talk radio. I worked in AM talk radio for what, 20 years? So I knew where these things come from. I understood how they got disseminated. They used to call them talking points. Now that, once the internet became the internet, they started creating these fake web news, these fake news sites and making them look like real news sites. The only one who didn't make it look new or real was Drudge. He stayed with his HTML format. But everybody else, and right-wing, that right-wing chat room that I usually go to, it's so weird. Okay, so that Right Side Media is what it is. They were, during the campaign, they would air every single live appearance of Donald Trump really badly. Like, you could tell they were on a shoestring budget. You could tell that their audio sucked. Their video was bad. They were out of sync a lot of times. They had, the whole thing, it was just a mess. But they had a chat room. And the chat room was filled with the most virulent bots. And some of them, obviously, were not American because I would write to them in Cyrillic. And they would answer me. So I understood, that they were from Russia. I mean, I understood that there were people from all over the world that were just inserting themselves into these chat rooms, but it was fun, okay? And I did it throughout the whole campaign. And then last night, Donald Trump goes on one of his FU tours, okay? And so I said, okay, got to get in that chat room. All of a sudden, the chat room is gone. The whole site's been revamped. It looks all modern and serious-like, except for the voiceover at the end who apologized for the bad audio and tells me, we were trying to do something about it, but we just didn't know what it was, and we never could figure it out, so we apologize for the bad audio. We apologize. I mean, it was very weird. Now, all of a sudden, we find out, and I found this out yesterday, but I didn't think that they would be so obvious about it. They are applying for press credentials. They want to be part of the White House press corps. They want to be in the briefing room. Now, the press corps itself has to vote you in. The press corps itself has, some items on a checklist that have to be demonstrably true about you, being a legitimate journalistic news source, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if they're going to allow them into the press room or not, but I can tell you they're trying, because last night I looked at their website and it's all new and shiny, and the chat room with the virulent haters, the Nazis, the white supremacists, the people who love the turd emoji, they're all gone. The whole chat room has been erased. It's not there anymore. So let's wait and see what the press looks like. And this is why I say, it was very important that Hillary Clinton spoke out about fake news. It's very important that everybody speaks out about fake news, because the news is so, it's almost to the point where I can feel myself wondering, will Donald Trump really do stuff for the working guy? Maybe he will, right? I'm wondering that until yesterday. Okay, until Pudzer, the guy that runs Carl's Jr.'s and Hardee's, places that only people who have no other place to eat. They named him as the head of the Labor Department. And I said yesterday, I can't even imagine what Robert Reich is thinking. Robert Reich was on CNN yesterday and the day before yesterday and today. The day before yesterday, he was on CNN to talk directly to the president, to talk directly to Donald Trump. This was before he announced Pudzer. So let me take it from the top with Reich, and then I'll tell you why Pudzer is such an offense to every working person who voted for Donald Trump. But this was really pretty amazing. Oh, why are we having so many problems today?
The Gremlins on Friday. The Gremlins always come out.
I'm not buying that. Here, let's refresh this. I just got to take a minute and see if it's all of our equipment or if it's... Here, this should work now.
Mr. Secretary, what do you make of this latest sort of example of Donald Trump responding to something that he's read or seen on television?
Well, Donald Trump is doing this quite a lot, Anderson. He's using Twitter. He has these tweets going out against people who criticize him. Not only Chuck, the person you just talked to, Chuck Jones, but also Alec Baldwin when he satirized Mr. Trump on Saturday Night Live. Also individual journalists who criticize Donald Trump. Let me just say, because Donald Trump is probably watching right now, let me just say, with all due respect, Mr. Trump, you are President-elect of the United States. You are looking and acting as if you are mean and petty, thin-skinned, and vindictive. Stop this. This is not a fireside chat. This is not what FDR did. This isn't lifting people up. This is actually penalizing people for speaking their minds. What you did with Boeing the other day, minutes after the CEO of Boeing was quoted as saying that you, Mr. Trump, you, President-elect Trump, were wrong on international trade, what did you do? You tweeted that Boeing should have an order canceled. You called it a $4 billion order. And that meant Boeing's own prices, its share prices, plummeted. So in other words, what you, Mr. Trump, what you would like is for no one, not a CEO, nobody on television, no journalist, nobody to criticize you. You take offense at that. Well, you are going to be president very shortly. You are going to have at your command not just Twitter, but also the CIA, the IRS, the FBI. If you have this kind of thin-skinned vindictiveness attitude toward anybody who criticizes you, we are in very deep trouble, and, sir, so are you.
Wow. I mean, that just...
Hold on. I appreciate both your voices. I am still...
Oh, God, what is going on? All right, so... That sent chills down my spine when I saw that, okay? And then last night, Robert Reich was on the TV talking about this, Robert Reich was our labor secretary under Bill Clinton when we had a roaring economy, when we created 22 million jobs. Robert Reich was our labor secretary. And he's a professor now, and he's also very active on, in writing. He writes his own blog, and his articles are... Wait, what are you doing?
Going to a break.
Oh, I had no idea. It took me so long to do that. I wanted the whole thing.
Take your time. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. When they picked Pudzer, of course, they reached back out to Robert Reich and they said, come back on the show. This was last night. Come back on the show. And Robert Reich was like stunned by this appointment. He does have to be confirmed, of this fast food chain owner, because he has been cited by the department that he is going to head, pending Senate confirmation, for wage theft of his own employees. This man Pudzer, when they looked at his restaurants, every investigation, he had stolen his employees' wages.
For a commercial-free, on-demand, whenever, wherever listening experience, visit RandiRhodes.com for your personal premium podcast today.
You're listening to WIN, Workers Independent News, a production of Diversified Media Enterprises. I'm Doug Cunningham. Trump will likely pick fast food CEO Andy Puzder as labor secretary. The National Employment Law Project says it's a sucker punch to the gut of workers. NELP's Christine Owens says it's hard to think of anyone less suited for the job of lifting up America's forgotten workers than Puzder. Owens says he's against raising the minimum wage, threatens to replace restaurant workers with machines, and opposes rules that protect workers. While the Fight for 15 workers movement has each other's backs, Owens says Puzder has his fellow CEOs' backs, even if it breaks the backs of those at the bottom. By federal statute, the purpose of the Labor Department is to foster, promote, and develop the welfare of the wage earners of the U.S., to improve their working conditions, and to advance their opportunities. Puzder is against all of that. 312 IAMAW members in St. Louis have been told by the GKN company that their jobs are going to a non-union Alabama plant, but they don't know when. Steve McDermott is president directing business agent for IAWAW District 837 in St. Louis.
Nobody knows the time frame. We've asked for the time frame, and it has not been given yet. They are having about every 3 weeks meetings in the shop. The bosses are going down and just telling them basically keep busy and all that, keep everything running, because the better we look, the better it is. But I don't know if that's going to save anything or not. I'm going to try to find everything I can to keep them from leaving, but I don't know if that's going to be possible.
McDermott says that working people are in for a very rough time with anti-worker Republicans taking over government nationally and in many states, but a strong resistance will be mounted.
We're going to be going back many years, and I guess that's what they want, and if they think that we're going to lay down and die, we're not. We'll be fighting until the last breath. They can come after us, but they can't beat us if we stay together. This union is not going to lay down. They're going to have to take everything for us, and we're going to be fighting tooth and nail.
The AFL-CIO has endorsed Representative Keith Ellison as DNC chair. AFL-CIO President Rich Trumka says Representative Ellison meets the high standard working people expect from leaders of our political parties. Trumka said under his leadership, the Democratic Party will embody the values that our members stand for every day.
Brought to you by the Alliance for American Manufacturing, working to prevent the loss of American jobs caused by unfair foreign competition, and working to promote fair trade laws to level the playing field for American workers. Information on how you can help create smart, worker-focused public policy is online at americanmanufacturing.org.
Brought to you by unionjobs.com, posting jobs for unions, socially allied, and community organizations since 1997.
Workers Independent News puts workers and their unions on the national radio news airwaves every day. To help keep labor's voice on the air, go to laborradio.org.
You've been listening to WIN, Workers Independent News. For more information, visit laborradio.org.
The Randi Rhodes Show is brought to you by our partners at ITM Trading. Call them at 1-888-OWN-GOLD and ask for a free gold kit. 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
All right, so Donald Trump picks this fast food king, okay, this guy who pays himself $4 million a year but stiffs his employees on overtime and, their paychecks and stuff. And then, we start to research him a little deeper. A little more deeply. And we find Andrew Puzder presided over a fast food chain that repeatedly stole workers' hard-earned wages. This is according to Eric Schneiderman, the New York Attorney General. He said CKE, which is the company that owns his two, Carl's Jr. and Hardy. He said that he repeatedly stole from low-wage workers. He said the fact that Mr. Puzder has now reportedly been selected to lead the same agency that uncovered the wage theft at his restaurants is a cruel and baffling decision by President-elect Trump. Then we also find out that Puzder's ex-wife, and this will play so beautifully into the Donald Trump sexual harassment, Roger Ailes, Steve Bannon's wife beating, Donald Trump's claim by Ivana when she was suing him for divorce that he raped her, all these things, right? Now we find out Puzder's ex-wife, Lisa Henning, now Lisa Fierstein, accused him of spousal abuse in 1989, according to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and the Riverfront Times. Henning said in court filings, quote, He attacked me, choked me, threw me to the floor, hit me in the head, pushed his knees into my chest, twisted my arm and dragged me on the floor, threw me against the wall, and tried to stop my call to 911 and kicked me in the lower back. Now, he denied the abuse in a deposition for his divorce. He said the allegations are baseless. Now, where did this man come from? Well, it looks like he was a very prominent lawyer for then Missouri Governor John Ashcroft's task force on abortion. When the news about Lisa Henning's accusations were published, Pudster offered to step down from the organization because he didn't, quote, want to be an embarrassment to the governor or an impediment to the work of the task force that was trying to, outlaw abortion. Pudster helped to write a law restricting abortions in the state of Missouri. Keith Ellison, the congressman from Minnesota, he said Pudster is not to be trusted. Quote, how can we expect Pudster to do his job and protect workers when his own employees are having their wages stolen? Good jobs and fair wages aren't in Pudster's vocabulary. One of the cooks at the restaurant said Pudster's paid more in one day than we each make in 1 year working at his restaurant, and that's the way he wants to keep it. Keith Ellison said, while he takes home a multi-million-dollar salary, many of his own employers are barely getting by. He is totally against an increase in the minimum wage. But anyway, so I said yesterday when I was finding all these, well, I didn't know anything about the wife stuff, but I said, Robert Reich must be just, like fuming. And of course, that was the thought at CNN too. So they invited Robert Reich on, and Anderson Cooper asked him about this. And here's what he said.
Pence is now speaking. We're waiting to hear from Donald Trump in Des Moines, Iowa, the third stop in his, what is he calling a thank you tour. I want to continue with the panel, though, as we wait for President-elect Trump. Former Labor Secretary Robert Reich is joining us as well. Secretary Reich, first of all, what do you make, of Donald Trump planning on continuing to be an executive producer of Celebrity Apprentice while President of the United States, and also his pick of Andrew Pudster for Labor Secretary, a job you know very well?
Well, first of all, Anderson, here's a man, Donald Trump, campaigned as if he was going to be the voice of average working people. He said over and over again that he was going to represent the silenced worker of America. Actually, what has happened filled his administration with nominees who are millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires, and appointed the most anti-worker Secretary of Labor in modern history. I have racked my brain today to try to find any modern labor secretary who was so obviously and adamantly against things such as the minimum wage or the time and a half overtime hours, the labor laws, basic labor regulations. There's nobody. There was a fellow that Ronald Reagan briefly appointed named Ray Donovan who got in trouble with the law, had some legal problems, was very anti-labor, but is nothing compared to this nominee. And Donald Trump seems basically to be unfazed by the fact that he's filling all of these cabinet positions with people who dislike the very purpose of the department they are in. A Secretary of Education who hates public education. An Attorney General who is against the Voting Rights Act. A Housing and Urban Development Secretary who is against the fair housing laws. I mean, what are we doing here? This is not just right-wing. This is almost nihilistic.
And does it make sense? You raised a lot of concerns about his tweeting last night. Does it concern you the potential conflicts of interest on his business side and this whole notion of, the latest example being remaining executive producer on Celebrity Apprentice?
Well, I think the biggest problem with all these conflicts of interest is not only that they might actually change his mind on particular policies that have a bearing upon the public interest, or at least warp his perspective, but they also reduce public confidence in the office of the presidency. And that, I think, is the core issue here. He doesn't care about confidence in the office of the presidency. He cares mostly, at least as he's shown himself, he cares about himself, about his power, about his dominance, about humiliating others and maintaining that dominance. But the office of the presidency is a sacred trust, and reducing public confidence in that office, making that office almost a vulgar and demeaning position, is a long-term cost potentially to this country and this society. And frankly, I don't think Donald Trump cares.
Kaylee, I mean, is this demeaning of the office of the President of the United States to be an executive producer of a TV show?
No, not at all, because he's...
No, not at all. I mean, presidents should always be executive producers of reality TV shows. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a good addition to the portfolio of the president. I think that we have been cheated out of having an executive producer of a reality TV show prior to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is going to increase the portfolio size of the presidency by, being the executive producer of a cheesy TV reality show. Now, you realize this is what CNN wanted to talk about. They wanted to talk about the fact that he's going to stay executive producer of this cheesy TV reality show. The only plus side I can see to that is that Donald Trump, as long as he's producing the new Apprentice, he will not be building walls, waging wars, or decimating labor laws. However, who will? And, here's what's so interesting about it. If Donald Trump can say that he's not making the decisions, that he has staffed out the decision making, that he has put the generals in these civilian positions so that they can make the decisions, that he's put these people who steal people's wages in charge of the Labor Department that actually regulates them, then Donald Trump can sit there and say, I didn't know. And you know what that's called? That's called plausible deniability.
To speak to Randi, call now, you bastards. 561-270-3844.
Hello.
The Randi Rhodes Air Force.
I love me some beef jerky. I do. I love beef jerky. People make fun of me, but if you're a jerky lover, we're real picky about the jerky. You want big protein, big flavor, big packs, and very little carbs. And that's why my favorite snack is jerky, but you can't get the best stuff at the gas station. You can't even get it at the supermarket. You have to order it online from the best purveyors of jerky I've ever found, Herky Jerky. Herky Jerky is the official snack of the Randi Rhodes Air Force, and it comes in elk, buffalo, beef, and bacon. Oh, yes, bacon, hot, mild, 14 other incredible flavors too. And right now, get $6 off your order of $50 or more. And these aren't little 3-ounce frou-frou bags of jerky. These are big, beautiful, nearly 1-pound bags of fresh, delicious, perfectly spiced jerky that bites and chews like homemade jerky should. Go to herkyjerky.com and buy your 12.5 or 2-pound pack and take them with you everywhere. School, work, camping, or just stick the sticks in your bag for quick protein that feels and tastes like heaven. herkyjerky.com.
This is the top of the hour from the Progressive Voices channel on TuneIn. Instead of commercials, you've got progressive news and interviews right here at the top of the hour.
Hello, Progressive Voices TuneIn listeners. I'm Casey Hobbs.
And I'm Shane Mason, and we're the hosts of Nurse Talk Radio.
Here's what we're talking about this week.
So now that the election's over and single-payer health care and controlling drug prices took a hit on the state ballots, where do we go from here?
Well, great questions, and I think all of us are watching this dance happening in Washington as the new president-elect. Isn't that hard to say? The president-elect
it is hard to say.
Is putting together his cabinet, and it looks to be like a rogues gallery of corporate interests, actually. But the reality is, as the Republicans talk about replacing the ACA and Obamacare, and it looks like they're pretty committed to doing that, the only thing that fixes the flaws, we've tried almost everything else in this country already. The only thing that fixes the flaws is to take the program that Americans, the majority of Americans, already support, which is Medicare, and expand it to everybody. It makes the most sense economically. It doesn't disrupt the system. You know, you'll oftentimes hear people say, we can't go in that direction, it'll be too disruptive. Well, that's not true. Medicare is a publicly financed but privately and publicly delivered kind of Medicare medical system. That's what we've needed for a long time. So we have to be very, very assertive. We have to stand and say, all right, if you're determined to replace what we all know has become a very expensive ACA, and we do have problems with the exchanges, what we're not going to allow you to do is repeal that, dump people off insurance without coming forward and saying the best plan that covers everybody, saves us all money, and disrupts the system the least is Medicare for all. So we're going to have to go on the offensive. And I was at a meeting just a few days ago in Washington, D.C. with lots of other single-payer supporters, including Gene Ross, one of the presidents of NNU, and other people from PNHP and Healthcare Now, and a lot of major organizations all saying the same thing, that the only path forward is through Medicare for all.
Which is so very true, Donna, but it scares me because they're talking about privatizing Medicare.
Yeah.
And that's really, really egregious. That used to be the third rail that nobody touched.
Yep.
And now they're just openly talking about, let's just privatize the VA and let's just privatize Medicare. Oh, my God.
We're going to have to be very aggressive about demanding that not be the case. And for people who won't understand what they mean when they're talking about privatizing Medicare, because they'll be very stealth in the way they'll describe it, what they've often thought of is handing a voucher to Medicare beneficiaries and saying, here, take this $5,000 voucher. Now you can go buy insurance wherever you want. Well, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Insurance companies are not going to sell most seniors a policy that is anything close to what Medicare is covering for you now. For $5,000 a year, that is a ridiculous thing.
It is absurd.
You know, we're going to have to fight and push back. And I know the nurses are a part of a big pushback coming forward just this week in Washington on December 7th. For those of us who remember, that's Pearl Harbor Day. But on December the 7th, there's going to be a news conference held in Washington, D.C., along with a petition, presenting a petition to members of Congress that will have more than 1 million signatures demanding that Congress not privatize Medicare and that they, on the contrary, do everything they can to shore it up, make it stronger, and do that along with protecting Social Security.
And what can our listeners do to stay in touch with this and keep track of how this develops?
Oh, absolutely. Stay on top of the nationalnursesunited.org website as well as pdamerica.org. You can see what's going on there, but you should also stay alert for opportunities to interact with your congressional member, and especially in the coming weeks. A lot of them will be home in their districts over the holiday times. Many will choose to have small gatherings and town hall meetings with their constituents. This is a great time before they kick up with a new Congress in January to sit down with those congressional members and say to them, this is something that's my priority. Do not privatize Social Security. Do not privatize Medicare, and expand Medicare to everyone in this country. And then you'll be moving in the right direction.
I actually live about 10 blocks from Nancy Pelosi, and every time I walk towards her house, they glare at me. And there's some dudes out there that don't want me talking to Nancy Pelosi, I assure you.
I'm sure they
you look a little threatening there, Shane. So very true. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners, Donna?
No, just stay alert, everyone. I know it can be a little bit of a stressful time because there's so many issues we're all worried about. Yes. But nurses speak with such a righteous voice in this struggle and are needed so clearly in this struggle. So stay with us, nurses. We know you will, but we need you.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much. We've been talking with Donna Smith, our Healthcare in America senior correspondent. Check out our show at nursetalksite.com and listen every Saturday and Sunday right here on Progressive Voices.
You've been listening to Top of the Hour on the Progressive Voices channel on TuneIn. Commercial-free interviews and exclusive Progressive news and information at the top of the hour.
Mary having the fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Happy holidays! Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you, Bob Rivers. All right, phone lines are actually open right now. I don't know why. 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844. Mike in Chicago.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why you said Happy Holidays and not Merry Christmas.
Because I'm Jewish.
So you're against saying Merry Christmas.
Well, Happy Holidays is what I say because I'm a Jew.
Okay, fair enough. I was wondering if you would be willing to wear the burqa in support of the poor Muslim that lost his life at Ohio State.
What are you talking about?
There was an unfortunate incident where an innocent Muslim was shot to death at Ohio State. Will you wear a burqa in support of him?
No.
That's not what you said you do, Randy!
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. How's that? Oh, my God. All right. Toda in Michigan? Livonia, Michigan. Hello.
Hi, it's Tada.
Tada.
T-A-D-A.
Oh, T-A-D-A. Tada.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, Randy.
Hello.
I'm a little nervous. This is my first time calling.
Oh, my. Well, breathe. There.
Okay, I'm breathing.
Okay, good.
And I've been listening to you for a long time, except for when you were gone. I started when you were on Air America.
Mm-hmm.
I've always loved your show.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad you're back on. And I immediately subscribed to your podcast. This is the first time I've listened live.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that's the thing with the podcasting. People are listening when they want to, which is great. That's why we do it. But
right. My mind wanders a lot, and then I have to go back and re-listen.
Okay.
I'm 72, and my memory isn't as good as it used to be.
Sounds fine to me. Sounds like you got this down.
Well, I'm very concerned about the fact that we are totally losing this class warfare, the 99.9%, and I liked your suggestion about us having our own think tank and coming up with ideas.
Yeah. There has to be some sort of a get together between all of the the David Brocks of the world and the John Podestas and the People for the American Way and the Southern Poverty Law Center and Politico and all of these places that do a really good job of using real facts, real information, and disseminating that information. But everybody is so sort of compartmentalized that if we got together under one umbrella and joined the SEIU, and who's about to be decimated, the service workers of this country, they're about to be decimated. The pudzers of the world who hate paying wages, the pudzers of the world, and the all the Donald Trump, when he was campaigning, I tried to play this as often as I could, and People didn't want to pay any attention to it, but it was really an important thing that Donald Trump said. Let me see if I could find it real quick. This is like 7 seconds of the truth from Donald Trump. Listen to this.
Wages too high. We're not going to be able to compete against the world. I hate to say it, but we have to leave it the way it is.
Okay, he was talking about wages and that there would be no increase in minimum wages. And the more you look at the people that he's putting into positions of power, and the more you realize that each person he picked hates the department that they're going to be in charge of.
Right. And could I make a suggestion, because that really speaks to what I really wanted to say right now, which is I have an idea of something that you might be able to do quite easily and that might really help.
Okay.
And because I have this idea that because his picks are so atrocious, so horrible, if you could just prepare something that we could print out that would go through these picks and what they're supposed to do and what they're really like, and then some sites, where we could show it, and we could carry this around with us and show it to people and talk to people.
Okay.
Because we don't have we don't have the media, but we have person to person contact, and a lot of us we know what's going on, but it's hard to remember all the facts and tell people where to check the fact checked it, and that would just be great. And I mean, I would pay for it if I could,
No. I could. No, I don't. You don't need to pay for the information. You just need to pay for the podcast so that we can keep the the lights on. But no, you know what I can do? I can do that over the weekend. I can make a list of all of the cabinet positions currently, and show where they came from with clickable links. Okay.
Right. What they're supposed to do and why they're totally. And
here's the thing.
Do the opposite.
And here's the thing. You've already paid for it. I mean, if you bought a podcast, then obviously I have your email. Because I have to manage your account and make sure that you get exactly what you paid for. So, yeah, I can send the email to everybody that has a podcast. I can do that, in 5 minutes. I'll spend some time over the weekend. I'll create the document. If not over the weekend, I will do it. We're going to be doing some maintenance, and I need some health stuff done next week. So Thursday and Friday, if you have the podcast, you'll be in good stead because those are 2 days you'll need them because we're not going to do a live broadcast Thursday and Friday so that we can do maintenance to my ass and maintenance to the studio. And I will do it over those 2 days. And I will make sure that you have that list next weekend. How's that?
Great. And I'm going to find it in my email.
That's correct. I will email it to everybody. Yeah, everybody.
Okay, great.
All right.
Randy, I love you and thank you.
Ta-da!
Okay, that's right. That's how you remember my name.
That's how I will remember your name. Ta-da! Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Okay, good idea. I will do that. People do like lists. There's no question. We like lists. So I actually have in the homework today a complete list of every cabinet position thus far. It is courtesy of The Guardian, which is independent news that is, reader supported as well. It's a UK newspaper. And if you want the list right now of who has been suggested, remember everyone except Flynn has to be confirmed by the Senate. But if you want the list of who currently is up for which position, then go to the homework, go to randyrhodes.com, click on the homework section, and you will see in the homework section a complete list. It actually says a complete list of Trump's cabinet so far. And you can have that. And then I will email all of that information with some of the articles that show you who they are and what they've already done to the working class, especially, and send that out. But I'll probably do it Thursday or Friday because we'll be off Thursday and Friday, but I'll still be working because we have to do, some work on the studio. It's just a normal repair. All right. Amy and Nutley.
Happy holidays, Randy.
Happy holidays, you bastard.
There are 29 holidays between Thanksgiving and New Year's. Actually, January 6th is even a holiday. It's the Three Kings, and then there's, St. Nicholas is on the 6th of December. So there are a lot of freaking holidays between, Thanksgiving and January.
Yeah.
So, if you want to be all-inclusive, you say happy holidays.
Right. If you don't want to leave anybody out, you say happy holidays. That's exactly right. I'm so tired of being left out.
It's just being kind and polite and empathetic.
You know what? I'm a Jew. I'm a proud Jew. And so I like the season, but the reason for the season is our oil lasted a little longer than we thought. Okay, not a great miracle, but it's the one I have. So don't take it away from me.
Yeah, and happy Hanukkah to you, too.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And this year, Hanukkah actually begins Christmas Eve, so we could all do it together. Yay.
Yay.
So thank you for that.
That's all I got.
All right. Thank you. Happy Friday. Have a good weekend. Richard in Chicago.
Hey, Randy. How are you?
I'm good.
Listen, you know what I love more than Jewish women? I love Jewish women who love beef jerky.
Beef jerky? Did you get the jerky yet? Did you get it?
No, but girl, let me tell you. you were messing with my emotions the other day when you were sitting on the air eating.
Oh, eating the jerky. I have. Listen.
Yeah,
this is the same bag that I showed you the other day, and I'm still going through it. This is the bacon jerky. Look at the size of this. These slabs of bacon. Oh, I ate like 10 of them before the show. I was eating the spicy venison sticks, though. Oh, you see my dog? Hi. Oh, look, he smells the bacon. You see him?
Listen, let me tell you this quick story. I used to, whenever someone would wish me Merry Christmas, I used to say Happy Kwanzaa.
Oh, right.
So I had a white...
That holiday didn't do very well, did it?
No.
No.
It doesn't.
No.
But wait a minute. So I had a white coworker who approached me and said, Merry Christmas. And I said, Happy Happy Kwanzaa. And he looked at me and said, is that slang? Is that what black folks say? I'm like, no, that's not slang for Christmas. It's what most black people, celebrate Kwanzaa. So that was just hilarious hearing that exchange with that guy and you.
Well, they're so self-serving. They don't understand that people have holidays that coincide with theirs, and they'd like to celebrate too. So
right.
Why would you want to take that away? Why would you want to take the joy of the season away from somebody simply because they're a Jew or because they celebrate Kwanzaa, which didn't do very well? You know why? The greeting card companies did not pick up on the Kwanzaa.
They didn't.
Right? If Hallmark would have come out with a lot of cards and American Stationery would have given, make your own Kwanzaa card and all that, it would have been huge. Like Mother's Day is also made up. But, it's the cards. It's all about the cards. And they didn't pick up on it. So, but why would you deny me my holiday simply because it coincides with yours?
Absolutely.
Especially when I don't criticize you for co-opting the king of the Jews and making my king the reason for your season. Do I sit there and beat you with a wet noodle over that little factoid? No, I don't. No. I let you have him, even though on his cross it says King of the Jews.
Right.
And I let you have him. I let you take him. It's okay because I'm chosen already. So I already go to heaven. I don't have to do anything. I think this is what the hatred for Jews are. I think this is where it originates because you understand God chose us. Okay. And I don't have to do anything to go to heaven. Nothing. I could be like the worst person and I'd still go because I'm chosen. I think that really pisses off the Christians. But you tell me, what is Christian about any of these cabinet members who want to starve out the poor? Tell me what is Christian about Puzder? Tell me what is Christian about wanting to do away with Medicare or Medicaid. Tell me what's Christian about, like I said the other day, we were looking at the Christian legal services. That isn't the Bible Christian legal services? Why would you need Christian legal services? You wouldn't if you believed. You really wouldn't. And of course, you have all these people in the cabinet that had these law firms that were Christian legal services, which is the Bible. Render unto God what is God's, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's.
The Randi Rhodes Show is live on RandiRhodes.com and the free Progressive Voices app for Android and iOS. Visit the App Store or ProgressiveVoices.com now.
Well, the unthinkables happened. We have Donald Trump moving into the White House in 2017. Of course, this move brings extreme uncertainty to our country's financial future. I mean, you got the Don and his crew moving into the White House now, and who knows what they'll do to our economy. When he moves into the White House, everyone needs to get their own financial house in order before the Don and the crew have the time to do some serious economic damage to this country. Now, when it's time for financial security, it's time for gold. So call my friends at ITM Trading. Get a free gold kit. Learn why gold survives every government, every currency, every economic crisis. Gold's always brought its owners security in uncertain times just like this. Call ITM Trading at 1-888-OWN-GOLD. Get expert guidance from their precious metals consultants. They've helped tens of thousands of people navigate this market. They have the best reputation in the industry. Call 1-888-OWN-GOLD, 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
This is Tara Devlin, a.k.a. Pterodactyl from RepublicanDirtyTricks.com on the Progressive Voices channel on TuneIn. And this is my 2-minute tirade.
Oh, poor Mike Pence. He went to see the musical Hamilton on Broadway and was made uncomfortable because he was booed by the audience. Then he was made even more uncomfortable when the multicultural cast read a very respectful message expressing their fears about what will happen to the minority groups Pence and their Fuhrer Trump targeted on their low road to the White House. Oh, the humanity of it all. I mean, by the way Trump responded with another Twitter tantrum, one would think that the cast of Hamilton was trying to take away Mike Pence's health care or something, rather than the other way around. Well, at least the incident gave Trump's corporate media enablers another reason to run a poll. Was it fair or unfair for the cast of Hamilton to make the Vice Fuhrer uncomfortable? Oh, yes. Let's not discuss why people are afraid or why normalizing a campaign celebrated by American Nazis is the worst thing that could happen to democracy. The gays and people of color were just supposed to put on their little show for the massa and then quietly return to the shadows while fascists come for their civil liberties and their minions threaten their lives. But far from making me uncomfortable, their booing gives me hope. Next time, I think they should dim the lights on Broadway and refuse to perform at all. Just as there are no safe spaces for us in fascism, there should be no safe spaces for the fascists. It is the duty of every decent American to boo these fascist bastards to the ends of the earth. So thank you, cast of Hamilton, for showing us all how it's done. And frankly, I'll worry if the booing ever stops.
This is Tara Devlin from RepublicanDirtyTricks.com. Go there and find links to my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram communities, and keep listening for 2-minute tirades and more on the Progressive Voices channel on TuneIn. We stick together, we win.
And the President of the United States is...
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
On the heels of the inauguration in our nation's capital, join your sexy liberal friends.
Some, I assume, are good people.
The Sexy Liberal Comedy Tour begins 2017 on Saturday, January 21st at Sidney Harmon Hall in Washington, D.C.
I am so saddened to hear that.
The election was no joke. It's real. But the Sexy Liberal Comedy Tour helps you shake off your blues and get you motivated to carry on and come together. Join Stephanie Miller.
Just very strong and very smart.
John Fugelsang.
Well, he's a very talented guy.
And comedy duo Frangela.
Both of them. I mean, this is a very talented family.
Come laugh with your sexy liberal friends in Washington, D.C.
Just tell me where and when and I'll show up.
Saturday, January 21st, 8 o'clock p.m. Sidney Harmon Hall. Tickets available by calling 877-487-8849 or at ShakespeareTheater.org. Sexy Liberal Comedy Tour 2016 in Washington, D.C.
Clear for takeoff.
The Randi Rhodes Air Force. Air Force. RandiRhodes.com.
Wait till the robots come. No, seriously, wait till these guys all want automation. This is what Pudzer at the Labor Department, this is what he's all about. He said, and the same thing with the carrier dude, Greg Hayes, United Technologies. He said he was going to make a $16 million investment into that Indianapolis factory where 730 jobs were saved by paying him $700,000 a year for 10 years to the tune of $7 million. He said he was going to take that money and he's going to make a big capital investment in that factory, and he's going to automate it so those jobs aren't staying either. All right, now you look at this Japanese businessman who came and said, I'm going to invest $50 billion into the United States and I'm going to create 50,000 new jobs, right? And you find out this guy is from SoftBank. You look at SoftBank, they own Sprint. He wants to buy T-Mobile and merge them. He's tried this before. Our Federal Communications Commission has said no, it would limit competition in this country. We need to have at least 4 carriers in order to remain competitive. Why 4? I have no idea. 4, why not? I remember when radio had, 10,000 mom and pop owners across the country. That created so many jobs in broadcasting. It was a real career that you could, train a new generation behind you to take your place as you could, go up the chain, and you could become a music director, then you could become a promotions director, then you could become a program director, you could become a general manager of the... No more. Now they have clusters where they take all of the Southeast, all those radio stations from Georgia to North Carolina to South Carolina to Georgia to Alabama to Tennessee, all South Florida, one guy. And everything is run out of one place, and people are voice tracking, and one guy is broadcast all over the place. And so there's no jobs, right? We lost about 100,000 jobs in just communications alone. All right, so now they want to do this with, factories and with fast food. So I'm looking at SoftBank, and of course we find out SoftBank has this vision fund, which is a billion to like $25 billion from the Saudi Arabians. This guy who asked me, will I wear a burqa? You're going to have to wear a burqa. Seriously. You're going to have to marry a girl you'd never saw except for the slits of her eyes. And the first time you'll ever see her is at your wedding ceremony when you both look down and she picks up her veil and you're looking in a mirror, because that's how it is. That's how it is. Just saying. Don't ask me if I'll wear a burqa, because that doesn't matter. If I wore one, if I didn't wear one, who the hell cares? You're going to have to deal with the Saudis, with this president coming in here with all this money. Like I said at the beginning of the show, they bought every damn hotel in New York already. And now the Japanese, they want to come in and buy all of our telecommunications. We're going to have no American jobs. This guy is insane. Anyway, SoftBank. So I'm looking at this Japanese dude. I'm looking at this Pudzer guy. He says he wants to automate. The Carrier dude, United Technologies, they say they want to automate. I look at SoftBank. SoftBank on their website is advertising a human-shaped robot who is kindly, endearing, and surprising, named, and I said this the other day, named Pepper. I told you, the person who's taking your job is Pepper. Pepe! Pepper! Seriously, Prepper, Pepper, Pepe. You morons, you. Here, let me just play you this little 2-minute video, and you can meet who's going to steal your job. Watch this.
So he's all set now.
あなた、とてもおしゃれですね。もしかしてモデルさんですか？
いや違いますよ。でもありがとう。ペッパーは何歳？
人間の年で言うと何歳なのかわかります。
Notice Pepper doesn't speak English. Notice Pepper speaks Japanese. He asked Pepper, how old are you? And Pepper says, in human years, I don't know how old I am. Oh, because Siri was she works so well that now we're going to have Pepper. So when you order a quarter pounder with cheese, Pepper's going to give you a Big Mac. And if you don't like it, Pepper's going to go, I don't know the difference. This is who's going to steal your job. Now, if you're just listening, you're going to hear Japanese. I'll translate it for you because I'm so multi. But as a robot, I was made in 2014. Can you lend me $100? That's what he said.
今ないですね、そういうの。
I don't have any cash on me, sorry.
ごめんなさい。今日の天気はどうですか？
What's today's weather forecast?
今日は東京都港区の天気は曇り、時々雨の予報です。
Today's weather in Tokyo will be cloudy with scattered rain.
何をしましょう？散歩？
What do you want to do today?
勉強？
We could go for a walk,
お茶する？
study, or go for tea. These are great options for you. I know you want to do all those things. You want to study and go for tea and take a walk. Meet Pepper. That's who's going to take your fast food job. That's going to take so many jobs, it's unbelievable. Wait till this happens. Just wait. And these captains of industry that are being courted by Donald Trump, this is their master plan for labor worldwide, and yes, right here in the United States. SoftBank has designed Pepper to be a day-to-day worker and companion that supposedly has human emotions and adapts his behavior to yours. Just saying. And you right now, the silly right-wing guys that love to go, whatever they say, Georgia water, whatever, who like to call me up and think that that's somehow going to deter me from my mission to protect everybody from this. You're wrong. But I'm trying to show you something over here. Why are you so blind? You're blind. Don't be scared now, darling. Gonna be taking robots. But, you have to look at what these people want, okay? You have to look at what their agenda is. And, they've had an agenda since 1980. Now, we know this because back in 1980, David Koch from the Koch brothers ran as the Libertarian Party's vice presidential candidate. And in 1980, the Libertarian Party put a platform together, and this is what they've been working on for 30 stinking years. And Donald Trump is their vessel. Donald Trump is their vehicle. See, remember, Donald Trump didn't emerge and then people started following him. No, it was the other way around. Steve Bannon wanted Sarah Palin to be the vessel. But that didn't work out for him after he paired her up with John McCain. Convinced John McCain that the uber right wing was going to vote in massive numbers for him if he had this crazy libertarian, uber ultra conservative right wing lunatic, the mayor of Wasilla, the meth capital of the world back in the day, that if he put her on the ticket, his numbers would improve. Well, his numbers did improve, but he still lost. Okay, he lost. And so Bannon said, okay, screw that. We'll try somebody else. And he waited and waited, and Mitt Romney was definitely not the guy, although he got Mitt Romney to trash the 47% of people in this country that are just trying to get ahead, living paycheck to paycheck. And that sealed his fate because he just didn't have the ability to be as racist as they needed to make this platform work. Mitt Romney wasn't really going to have any of that, okay? But Mitt Romney was all about letting Detroit go bankrupt. Remember that? And Mitt Romney was about hating the 47% and all that. Well, it didn't work. Now, all of a sudden, they look at Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, of course, was, part of these two previous campaigns. He was all about Sarah Palin and he was all about Mitt Romney. And so when Donald Trump started the birtherism stuff when Obama was first elected, they said, ooh, let's look at him. Let's look at him to be the vessel. And they said, what's really good about him is he is racist enough. He will say any damn thing. He will say anti-Semitic, he'll retweet anti-Semitic things. He will say Mexicans are rapists. He will say Muslims are a threat, to everybody. He will, he'll say he'll ban people from coming into this country, a complete and total shutdown of Muslim immigration, whatever. He's perfect. He's perfect. Now, the mistake we made with Romney is Romney got caught trashing the working people. So Donald Trump has to position himself as the voice of the downtrodden coal miner, of the downtrodden factory worker and all that. And we can really sell this. And then we can push our libertarian platform. And then we can push our real agenda. So what is their real agenda? I think it's important So what I did was I went back and I got the 1980 Libertarian Party platform. Where did I get it from? I got it from Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders has the 1980 Libertarian Party platform, and this is what it says. And these are just a few excerpts from the Libertarian Party platform that David Koch ran on in 1980. Okay, this is going to blow your mind because this is all about to happen. We urge the repeal of federal campaign finance laws. Citizens United, that's done. And the immediate abolition of the despotic Federal Election Commission. Now, the FEC is a toothless commission now. I mean, the amount of money that went into Donald Trump's coffers. I mean, the biggest lie ever is that he financed his own campaign. That's hysterical because now you look at what's her face from the WWE, Linda McMahon. Not only was she the only contributor to the Trump Foundation other than Trump, she was the biggest donor to the Trump Foundation other than Trump, but she's gave Donald Trump's campaign $6.5 million. I mean, the idea that he financed himself is a joke. It's hysterical. These hedge fund men. Steve Mnuchin was his campaign finance chairman. And now he's going to be Treasury Secretary. I mean, these are lies. Okay. Anyway, we favor the abolition of Medicare and Medicaid. We oppose any compulsory insurance or tax-supported plan to provide health services, including those which finance abortion. So they're against Obamacare, obviously. This is 1980, okay? This was their long-term, shoot for the moonshot. We also favor the deregulation of the medical insurance industry. They want them deregulated, which you could just imagine what that would do to prices. We favor the repeal of the fraudulent, virtually bankrupt, and increasingly oppressive Social Security system. We think that participation in Social Security should be made voluntary. We propose the abolition of the Postal Service. Why the Postal Service? Let me tell you something, okay? Costa Rica, if you look, well, you don't know my personal Facebook page, but on my personal Facebook page, I was so excited today. There is a posting there because Costa Rica, which is like the Switzerland of Central America, you don't see people coming here from Costa Rica. Why don't they come here from? Some people come. They go to New Jersey for construction jobs, and that's about it. You don't see people like you do coming from Salvador, like you do from Honduras, like you do from Guatemala, like you do from Mexico. You don't see people coming here from Costa Rica like that. You know why? Because Costa Rica doesn't have a military, number one. Since 1948, Costa Rica has said no military. We're the Switzerland of Central America. We don't want the Iran-Contra crap. We don't want people throwing our priests out of helicopters. We don't want American intervention here. We don't want anything. You know what we'll do? We'll keep all your money if you want, but we'll run an honest, clean banking system, but we are not going to have a military. Instead, we're going to put our money into education, infrastructure, and healthcare for all of our people. So everyone in Costa Rica has healthcare, and it's really good too. That's why you see people going down to Costa Rica for surgery. You see people going to Costa Rica for plastic surgery, especially, and coming home with fabulous results. But all their kids, 98% literacy in Costa Rica, which is higher than here. Great life expectancy, which is dropping here. Very little drug addiction because they don't let it in their country. The only thing they do have is a Coast Guard to patrol the borders so that they don't have any of this traffic in heroin or cocaine going into their country. They're adamant about it. They keep it out. But they don't have a postal service, which is a big inhibition for business. They do have Amazon call centers now. They do have a lot of banking call centers now, but they don't have a postal service. So if I want to send something from the United States to a friend in Costa Rica, I have to find somebody who runs freight into Costa Rica. Then, of course, because they're so anti-drug, that shipment gets stuck at their inspection station for, 2 weeks until they can go through every single package in that container. And then it has to go through customs to see if anything is taxable. So it takes forever. Put it that way. Okay? It takes forever. That is what's keeping them from being a first world nation, is that they don't have a postal service. Well, guess what? All of a sudden, today, they opened up postal service centers all over the country. And they're about to add like 50 more. 50 more. But these freaks here in our country, they want to abolish the postal service. You have no idea what the abolishing of the postal service would do to a nation until you don't have one. And like my house in Costa Rica, it doesn't have an address. There are no addresses in Costa Rica. That's why your GPS doesn't work in Costa Rica. You can't put an address in because no one has one, because there is no postal service. So unless you know the latitude and the longitude of the place you're trying to go to, the directions are something like, go to the fig tree and make a left till you get to the yellow house and make a right. Then when you get to the restaurant, when you get to Jolly Roger, the restaurant, the chicken wing restaurant, then make a right. And will be the greenhouse on the left. That's how people give directions there. But they want to do away with our postal service. And they say the present system, in addition to being inefficient, encourages governmental surveillance of private correspondence. The postal service pending abolition of the Postal Service, we call for an end to the monopoly system and for allowing free competition in all aspects of the Postal Service. We have competition here to the Postal Service. You have your choice. You could do a flat rate Postal Service box. You could do UPS. You can do DHL. You got plenty of competition. So screw them. You do away with the Postal Service, and I'm telling you, we will become a third world nation. And people just don't know it until you live someplace that doesn't have one. All right. This is just excerpts from their platform. We oppose all personal and corporate income tax. We oppose all capital gains tax, which is taxes on investment income, not labor income. We support the repeal of all taxation. As an interim measure, all criminal and civil sanctions against tax evasion should be terminated immediately. We support repeal of all law that impedes the ability of any person to find employment, such as the minimum wage laws. We advocate the complete separation of education and state. Betsy DeVos. Government schools lead to the indoctrination of children and interfere with the free choice of individuals. Government ownership, operation, regulation, and subsidy of schools and colleges should be ended. No public college, no public school. We condemn compulsory education laws, meaning if you want to do away with all the labor laws, then and you don't want kids going to school, then they can go to work in the factory. We support the repeal of all taxes on the income or property of private schools, whether for-profit or not-for-profit. We support the abolition of the Environmental Protection Agency, which Mr. Pruitt will see to. He's the one that had Christian Legal Services, which should be the Bible. And why he doesn't love the earth, God's greatest creation, I don't know. We support the abolition of the Department of Energy. I'll put Harold Hamm in charge of that. It'll happen. And they did, essentially. We call for the dissolution of all government agencies concerned with transportation, including the Department of Transportation, Elaine Chao. We demand the return of America's railroad system to private ownership. We demand the privatization of all public roads and the national highway system, privatization. We oppose laws requiring safety belts, airbags, or crash helmets. We want to abolish the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA. We advocate the abolition of the Food and Drug Administration. We support an end to all subsidies for childbearing built into our present laws, like tax-supported services for children. We oppose all government welfare, all relief projects, and aid to the poor programs. The proper source of help for such persons is the voluntary efforts of private individuals. We call for the privatization of inland waterways. We call for the distribution system that brings water to industry, agriculture, and households to be privatized. We call for the repeal of the Occupational Safety and Health Act. We call for the abolition of the Consumer Product Safety Commission. And we support the repeal of all state usury laws, which is interest. So basically, they want to repeal every bit of progress we've made over the past 80 years that has protected the middle class, the elderly, our kids, the sick, and the most vulnerable in our country. This is their platform. This is what they've been running on since 1980. And now you look at the cabinet and you look at the appointments and all the fake news so that you can't really figure out what's going on or, So Trump is up there talking about the forgotten man. And then behind your back, he's appointing all the people that believe in this swill. It's fascinating, ain't it? Asia in Los Angeles.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
I was wondering, because he has to appoint a Supreme Court justice.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if when he does, will they repeal Brown versus Board of Education and Roe versus Wade?
It's possible.
Oh, that's scary.
Yes, it is. Like I said, all the progress that we have made as a society, as a civilization, as a country, as a nation, to be looked up to by others who want this kind of freedom that we have, that they can only dream of. Freedom of the press, freedom in your individual liberty, meaning your own person. Your rights begin and end at your nose, so your rights are all yours, inside your space. Everything that you choose is your choice, not the government's choice, not anybody else's choice. No restrictions on what you can do with with a flag or with your body or whatever. Yes, all that progress can be undone. All the labor laws can be undone. All the preventions against child labor and 40-hour work weeks and 5-day work weeks. And I mean, we never really did get to paid family leave. We never really did get to paid child support for people who work and have children at home. We were on the road to that, but you can kiss all that goodbye. That that further progress is off the table. But a regressive society that goes back to child labor, that doesn't pay overtime, no such thing as a 40-hour work week. Yeah, that's all possible. There's a case right now called the Heartbeat Bill. Look it up. The Heartbeat Bill. It says as soon as the heartbeat in a fetus is detected, then abortion is off limits. Now, Roe v. Wade allows 20 weeks because women don't know they're pregnant for sometimes 3 months. Right now, with the situation at the Supreme Court, no, there's not a prayer of that passing the Supreme Court's muster. But, yeah, it is possible in the future.
For a commercial-free, on-demand, whenever, wherever listening experience, visit RandiRhodes.com for your personal premium podcast today.
Hello, Progressive Voices Tune-In listeners. I'm Casey Hobbs.
And I'm Shane Mason, and we're the hosts of Nurse Talk Radio.
Here's what we're talking about this week.
So now that the election's over and single-payer health care and controlling drug prices took a hit on the state ballots, where do we go from here?
I think all of us are watching this dance happening in Washington as the new president-elect. Isn't that hard to say? The president-elect
it is hard to say.
Is putting together his cabinet, and it looks to be like a rogues gallery of corporate interests, actually. But the reality is, as the Republicans talk about replacing the ACA and Obamacare, and it looks like they're pretty committed to doing that, the only thing that fixes the flaws, we've tried almost everything else in this country already. The only thing that fixes the flaws is to take the program that the majority of Americans already support, which is Medicare, and expand it to everybody. It makes the most sense economically. It doesn't disrupt the system. You'll oftentimes hear people say, we can't go in that direction, it'll be too disruptive. Well, that's not true. Medicare is a publicly financed but privately and publicly delivered kind of medical system. That's what we've needed for a long time. So we have to be very, very assertive. We have to stand and say, all right, if you're determined to replace what we all know has become a very expensive ACA, and we do have problems with the exchanges, what we're not going to allow you to do is repeal that, dump people off insurance without coming forward and saying the best plan that covers everybody, saves us all money, and disrupts the system the least is Medicare for everyone in this country. So we're going to have to go on the offensive in the right direction.
Check out our show at nursetalksite.com and listen every Saturday and Sunday right here on Progressive Voices.
The Randi Rhodes Show is brought to you by our partners at ITM Trading. Call them at 1-888-OWN-GOLD and ask for a free gold kit. 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
All right, Mark in Los Angeles.
Hey, Randi, how you doing?
How are you?
I am hanging in there in the incredible world that we're living in.
It's crazy how regressive it is.
It's the exact opposite of everything we should be doing.
Yes.
But, okay, we'll deal with it. But so the reason why I wanted to call, I actually had two things. But first, when you said we're the chosen people, yes, we are.
Mm-hmm.
But.
Oh.
But there's a but. The reason why what we're actually chosen to do is to make the world a better place. So we weren't chosen to automatically get into heaven or get any, get extra money in the bank or anything like that. We're chosen to sweep the shit from the morons that are screwing up the planet.
That's true.
That's So yeah, when they get upset at us for saying chosen, it's like, really, you want this job? You really want this job? Because it's your job. That's what you're doing. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. He's done. He had a meeting. Kurt and Callie.
Hey, how you doing, Randy?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well, excellent. I am calling because there's something that's not being pointed out in the media, and that is with all of these appointments to cabinet positions that Mr. Trump is doing.
Yeah.
You mentioned it yourself, that the CEO of the Wrestling Federation, WWE or whatever, is now on the cabinet now.
Yeah.
Okay. Who in their right mind, a millionaire, billionaire, whatever, would take a job that only pays $200,000 a year? These positions don't pay that much money.
No, I know, and they're doing it for to get rid of all the regulations that regulate their particular area of interest. I told you, this is all about breaking it. It's all about destroying these particular. I mean, like when Rick Perry, I said this yesterday. When Rick Perry had that oops moment, remember he said there are 3 things we have to get rid of right away. It was the EPA, Health and Human Services, and then he went whoops, and it was the Department of Education. So who do they put in charge? They put Betsy DeVos, who hates public education, in charge of education. They put Kudzer, who hates wages, who hates any labor laws at all. 40-hour work week would require, if you worked over 40, then he would be required to pay time and a half. Well, he hates that. Okay, so they put him in charge of the labor department. Pruitt hates the environmental rules, so they put him in charge of EPA. He's a climate denier. Of course, they're all going there to destroy the cabinets that they have been put in charge of, the administrations that they have been put in charge of. That's why they're there. And why the generals in all the other positions? Because there will be riots in the street. There's going to be, Homeland Security. You really need a general in Homeland Security? You really don't. You really want a civilian, but why is he turning this into a stratocracy? Meaning, why is he appointing military men to civil positions? And it's to try and keep the peace when people start getting hip to this and want to retaliate against him. And that includes the virulent Trump supporters who will eventually turn on him.
Right. And Randy, I remember when I...
All right. Alan in Daytona Beach.
Oh, that's me, finally.
Yeah, well, these people are calling me from crummy phones.
Well, hopefully I'm not one of them.
Yeah, me too.
I have had 1,000 things that I've wanted to talk to you about. I try and call whenever I can, but a lot of the times I tend to call toward the end of the show.
Hold on 1 second. That says 1,000.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's wrong. You need another 0. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got that email that you sent me about that crazy nut who called you the other day, and yeah, he is off his rocker.
Oh, was that you? Yeah, hi.
Yeah. That guy is a lunatic, to be sure.
Yeah, so just in case you're wondering, remember the guy that called and he was trying to tell me something about Snowden and that Snowden needed to be killed and da-da-da-da-da. And I said, you sound crazy. Why don't you email me? This is a complicated story. So he emailed me, and it's very deranged. What he sent. And so this guy, Alan in Daytona Beach, that we're now talking to on the phone, he asked me, could he see what this guy sent? So I forwarded it to you, Alan, and that's what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah, that guy is absolutely nuts.
Right.
I've read some crazy conspiracy theories before. But anyway, You've been talking about a lot of stuff that I'm sure depresses your listeners, so I would like to attempt to throw some mirth at you in particular. I've been listening for, I can't even count how many years at this point, and I would like to remind you of a name that I'm sure you had a lot of fun researching and talking about. Neil Horsley.
Neil Horsley.
You remember that show that you did way, way back when? You were talking about his rather strange issues with the mule.
Oh, barely. Yes.
I don't think I've ever laughed so hard listening to your show as when you did that. And I mean, that's even through all the years of BS News and all the crazy skits that you used to do once upon a time. I miss that.
Do you?
Yeah, I really do.
Okay.
Because we used to have time to talk about the silly stuff once upon a time and not talking about this.
Uh-huh. Well, now you've depressed me, so thank you very much. Nick in Mississippi.
Hi, Randy. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fair to middling, but I'll get better.
Fair to middling. I haven't heard that in a long time.
Okay. Well, one thing I thought about when you were talking about, what's his name?
Pudzer.
How you pronounce it again?
Pudzer.
Okay.
Pudzer. He needs a vowel movement, too. They all do. They're so annoying. Even their names are annoying. Every one of them is annoying.
Yes. Well, the big thing I thought about is, like, we have an administration, I may as well call them the administration of psychotics. But every last one of these guys are sick.
Yeah, I know. They all have, sort of a narcissistic personality disorder. Every one of them is all about themselves. And, they're supposed to be the representatives of the people, and they're not. They're the representatives of their own industries, hopes, dreams, and desires. And that is what we have now. We have a government full of people that want to break it. Now, the Trump supporters are down with that plan. Just know this. They want to burn it down to the ground. They're not happy with it. But when it happens, they're going to turn on this man. Big time bad. That's why all the military people, look up that word. The word for the week is stratocracy. Happy holidays. Have a good weekend. Go to RandyRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.